All right, UFC 298 is now in the books. A very historic card, headlined by, I don't even think it's arguable anymore, the greatest featherweight to ever fight in the UFC, Alexander Volkanovski, versus a guy who I think is going to be a major superstar for years to come, in Ilia Topuria. One of the big complaints about UFC 298 in Toronto back in January was that while a lot of people were very interested in the main event, the rest of the card was pretty light. When you take a look at UFC 298, it looks like the UFC more than made up for that. Ian Garrett keeping the win streak alive against Jeff Hands of Steel Neal, Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa going to absolute war for all 3 rounds. And then again, a main event between 2 guys that have been undefeated at 145 pounds and have both looked unbeatable up to this point. And while yes, we did just see Volk get knocked out by Islam, I can't lie, man, there's something so much different about watching him get stopped by Ilia like that. This is now Alex Volkanovski's 3rd loss by either KO or TKO in his career. But if you look at the one that he had, actually I can put up. But if you look at the loss he had back in the day fighting in Australia, yes, he did get stopped, but it wasn't a clean KO. Same thing with Islam Makhachev. He got caught by that high kick. This is the first time we've seen Volkanovski get absolutely put to sleep. And at 35 years of age, it's got to make you wonder, how much does he have left in the tank? Looking at the matchup head to head, when you take into account that Ilia doesn't just have insane punching power, Ilia's also proved to have this kind of insane punching power up a weight class. And with the Volk's chin getting touched a couple times now, I honestly don't see this as a matchup that if he were to get an immediate rematch, that Volk would win. I think now Ilia having that monkey off of his back, proving to the world that he is who he says he is, and with that rematch most likely taking place in Spain, with the entire crowd and the entire country behind him, I think Ilia's at a point right now that it's not only Volk that I think would take another loss in a fight against Ilia. I don't see a single person at 145 pounds that has a chance, at least right now, to beat Ilia Topuria. What Ilia Topuria was able to do out there was impressive, but it wasn't just impressive. It was historic. We haven't seen a guy put together a run like this since, I know it's cliche to say, but since Conor McGregor. Both guys fighting at 145 pounds, both guys going on insane win streaks with amazing performances, with both their win streaks respectively culminating in a knockout victory against a guy who, in that moment, is looked at as the greatest of all time at 145. And then, just like what Conor did to Aldo, Ilia was able to just shut Volk's lights out. Crazy thing is, the big complaint that a lot of people had back when Conor fought Jose Aldo was that yes, Conor landed that perfectly timed punch, but it was also really the first punch that he threw. So the argument can always be made that had that been a fight that went a little bit longer, Aldo would have been able to find instances for him to have some success. But this fight was different. While Ilia didn't knock out Volk right away in the first round like he said he was going to do, Ilia got tested for the entirety of the first round, probably even lost the first round, and then was able to get the knockout. Which again, while it didn't happen as fast as the McGregor Aldo knockout, in a way it kind of makes it even more impressive. It kind of takes away any doubt that anyone might have that it could potentially be a fluke. The bottom line is, Ilia Topuria is undefeated, fighting in one of the most historic weight classes in the UFC. He's got one of the most fan-friendly fighting styles you could ever hope to watch. The guy's very young, he's 27 years old. He's got Real Madrid shouting him out on Instagram. He speaks English, the #1 most spoken language in the world, but is fluent in Spanish, the 2nd most common language in the world. The guy right now has unlimited runway to become a megastar. And I know this is going to be a hot take, but if he's able to accomplish even some of what he wants to set out to do in the next couple years, as crazy as it sounds, I think Ilia's ceiling is becoming as big as Conor in his prime. And me as an English-speaking American, I know anyone who watches this video who's also an English-speaking American might have some doubts, might have some reservations when I say that. But remember, if you ever check the top 100 charts for the biggest songs in the world, a big chunk of those are Spanish songs that you and me have probably never heard of. And if we did, we wouldn't understand a single thing they're saying. Ilia doesn't have to become as big of a star as Conor was in America to get to that same level on a global scale, which is insane. Guy's already got a beef with Yair Rodriguez, which could set up a massive fight. Spain versus Mexico. For a few years now, a lot of people have been saying that the UFC lacks superstars. The UFC needs more superstars. It can't keep getting carried by Usman, Adesanya, Volkanovski. They need someone else who can be a champion, a dominant champion, and can capture the imagination of the fans. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we found our guy. I think the UFC has just found its next big superstar. Thanks for watching.